Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's episode of the Zod Writer Show. I am Zod Writer, and I'm glad to be here tonight. I've got some stuff to talk about. We're gonna talk about a little bit about the Warner Brothers merger news, and we're gonna talk a little bit about One Punch Man, and I'm gonna give my review of the Masters of the Universe movie that recently came out. So I feel like I waited long enough to give my review on that. I wanted to give it enough time to, since literally nobody went to go see it. I kind of feel like I kind of feel like I have that in common with the director for Masters of the Universe. I can kind of compare One Punch Man a little bit to Masters of the Universe in some aspects. Shout out to you, Dr. Qatar, if you are watching this or you're available. The link to join us on the panel is in the executive branch chat. So if you want to join us, you're more than welcome to do that. What's up, Jeffrey Warfield? Always a pleasure to see you. And before I start talking, I want to bring on my good friend Bishop D.M. Williams, who's also a member of the executive branch, and he co-created JoeDen Music with me. So I'm going to bring him on now, and he's going to talk with me about this stuff too, because I know he saw the Masters of the Universe movie as well. So I just didn't want to be talking to myself, because I know I don't have a lot of people watching my streams these days. So I didn't really want to be talking to myself. So I'm going to bring Bishop on. What's going on, Bishop? The link is in the executive branch chat. Guitar. Let's see here. Where are we? Why do they always do this? I don't understand why they always screw with the layout. I mean, the layout is what it is. When you have multiple people on, it should automatically just go to this layout. I don't understand why I got to take my face off the thing and change it. More streamlined. StreamYard shenanigans. What's up, Bishop? It's so good to see you.
Hey, what's going on, my brother? It's good to see you too. Everything's going wonderful. Yeah, we could talk about this, Masters of the Universe and stuff, because I enjoyed it. I did.
Okay, well, yeah, we're definitely going to get to Masters of the Universe. I just sent the link there, Qatar. You can click on the link and join if you'd like. It'll probably be just us anyway, because nobody watches us. There's people online who have literally poisoned my entire audience against me. So there's hardly anybody that watches our streams anymore. So I wanted to talk briefly about the merger before we get into the main topic, which will be Masters of the Universe. It says here that there is now there's some regulatory news here. Both Australia and New Zealand have also have recently approved the merger, I guess. But there's all kinds of pushback right now going on from, various organizations, and of course, Hollywood and actors and filmmakers, and nobody really wants this merger. And you see that's the thing. Nobody wants this merger. Personally, I don't think this merger's a good thing either way. I don't think that one studio, whether it be Netflix or Paramount or Universal or any other studio, should have that much sway in Hollywood. I feel like there should be multiple studios, so that there's multiple opportunities for movies to be made. There's enough to go around. I feel like it's just BS that we're constantly in these kinds of things, because all it's about is money. People they just want to get it's all about small subsets of shareholders getting as much money as possible. That's all it really is about. So they don't care about the creatives. They don't care about the the audiences. They don't care. Like I said on my last stream. It's not even about like I find it funny when I was talking about Netflix influencers on my last show. Okay, and you know these are the people that get butthurt anytime you bring up you bring anything up, because they're so invested in the idea of Netflix being in control of everything. But my thing is it's not about being in support of Paramount. It's about being against this thing entirely in this situation. I don't know how you feel about it, Bishop, but for me personally, I just think it's a bunch of squabbling between billion-dollar companies, and I really could care less. And I just want what's best for the entertainment industry as a whole, and for all of us as fans and creators ourselves. That's all it is as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
I mean, I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way. You know, we have to get back to a time where we're more focused on the creation instead of the money that it generates. You know, because if you give good quality product, the money's gonna come.
Yeah,
The money
I
will come.
agree. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
I'm telling you, if Zach was to drop something right now that had anything to do with a justice or a league, do you know this world would lose their mind? It would shut the internet down. That's money. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
that's the other thing I was trying to point out on my last show about Escape from New York. That's going to be big. That's going to be huge, and it's going to be theatrical.
Hmm.
Zach obviously is not the type of filmmaker that wants to be tethered to a streaming service for the rest of his life.
Right.
And before
Yeah.
we bring Qatar on here, our third member of the executive branch slash JoeDen Music Inc.,
That's
Jeffrey Warfield says, "I don't trust Netflix or Paramount. Uh, they should they should have sold a division at a time." I couldn't agree more. See,
yeah.
that's the one thing. That's the one thing that I do agree with. With when it comes to these Netflix influencers. For me, I feel like it should have been, you know, you sell the division.
The,
So, like
the
Jeffrey's saying,
divisions.
so you take DC and you
Sell
sell
it.
DC to whoever, whether it's Netflix, Paramount, Universal, Tubi,
Right.
JoeDen Music. I don't care. Okay, you have to get rid of these. You have to get them out of the hands of WB, because WB has mismanaged DC for several decades now. They've
Yes.
mismanaged a lot of properties for decades. So it's time for new management to take over. And at this point, we're desperate for that to happen, but it's got to be the right people. And I'm really getting tired of Paramount Pictures with their constant whining and belly aching and being upset about everything. It's like, you guys are up there now. You guys are getting this. So I don't understand what David Allison's problem is at this point. Like, aren't you happy you're getting it now? You're accusing Netflix of he's accusing Netflix of some sort of like smear campaign or something, saying that Netflix is creating a problem. And Netflix responded and said, "Hey, we've been out of this for several months. We're not involved
Okay.
anymore." Netflix has made it clear. And then
They're
Dan Lin
not.
and then Dan Lin comes out the other day and says they're not even working with theatrical directors anymore. They're out of
They're
the
not.
running. It's clear they're out of the running. So I don't understand what David Allison's problem is. Stop going after Netflix when Netflix is not involved anymore. If Netflix is involved, that's one thing, but they're not. They're not involved, period. And with that, I want to bring on Dr. Qatar. What's up, Qatar?
Hey,
Hey, hey.
what's up?
What up,
What's
dude?
going what's going on, man?
Yeah, well, you know, I guess those clowns, clown influencers, had had a say in everything.
I think so. I think we talked about it. I think they were at they were at the they were at the meeting. They were at the meeting when all the stuff was signed, when we thought that Netflix had won before. But I
Yeah.
digress. I'm just tired of the way, I don't like the way Paramount is acting in this whole thing either. I think neither company, I think, has the best interest of the industry at whole at heart here. I don't think that they care. Like I said at the beginning, I think it's all about the bottom line for the shareholders. That's all it's about. And I wish the Netflix influencers would understand this. Because if the Netflix influencers understood this, maybe then they would realize, that you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to degrade and go after people just for having differences of opinion. Because in all honesty, like I said, I had thought at first that Netflix was the right fit. I thought Netflix was going to give us everything we wanted. I thought Netflix was going to not
They
only
won.
give us Zack Snyder, but that they were going to do right by movie theaters and by creatives and by the industry as a whole. And it's clear that that's not what they're going
And
to do.
they probably weren't planning on doing that until they started nickel and diming, Zach, and being difficult with him.
Well, and how that it's all BS and that it was all just a
Yeah.
facade because of what they were trying to do is when they turned around right after they lost the merger, they turned around and got a $2 billion severance package. And
Severance.
what's the first thing they do? Raise the price of Netflix again.
Yeah,
Increase.
yeah, I
I
know.
mean, how do you justify something like that? Like, that's completely ridiculous. And
Yeah,
then you got this Dan Lin clown coming out talking out of his nose, talking about how, oh, well, we're not working with theatrical directors anymore. Well, dude, you know, that's counter to what you were saying when you guys were promoting the idea of Netflix winning WB, and I've got to address this too, because on my there was a gentleman on my who replied to the last stream that I did, and this guy is in the Netflix camp, 100%, that Netflix is the best thing for the industry, the best thing for Zack Snyder. He's 100% in the camp. So I'm going to go ahead and read his comment. I'm going to omit his name, but I will read his comment. Um, he said, because we had a little bit of an exchange, and he was irritated, uh, and of course defending Netflix. And then he said, and another thing, if Netflix hates theaters, and I never said Netflix hated theaters, I just said that Netflix wasn't interested in furthering the theatrical business. They're a streamer first. I never said that they hated theaters, but, and now that I've corrected that, I'll read what he said. And another thing, if Netflix hates theaters, why are they rumored to be buying IMAX? Don't worry, I'll wait for an answer. So I reply, and I said, factually, that is just a rumor. And I would argue Netflix would buy IMAX to kill the format entirely, based on Dan Lin's own statements about not working with directors who want their movies in theaters. Okay, that was my response. Okay, so this guy continues. He follows up. Like I said, these people don't. These people just these Netflix people are like completely brainwashed to the point where reality just doesn't. They live in an alternate universe. Okay, because he says, Zodrider, Dan Lin is not the head of Netflix. Ted Sarandos is, and you
Sarandos.
think Paramount is going to be any different? Their priority is Paramount Plus, not theaters. Brother, wake up and smell the coffee. Theaters on a large scale are done, but will all of them disappear? No, like I said, screens will be around like IMAX, Dolby Cinema, and 4DX. Okay, here's my problem. He's trying to say basically that what Dan Lin says doesn't matter because he's not like the head guy.
Mm.
What are you smoking, dude? Do you honestly think that Dan Lin, who is the head of the movie division at Netflix, it's his job to oversee all of this stuff? That's what he's there for. And you think he doesn't know what he's talking about? That he's just going to be allowed to come out and say something that's completely contradictory to the model of the company? Give me a break. You think he didn't talk to Ted ahead of time about what he was going to say in this interview? Because this was a high-profile interview. What are these people smoking? This is what I mean about living in an alternate reality and not dealing with facts because the facts don't match what your narrative is. I've said it before. I don't trust Paramount Pictures. But at this point, I don't trust Netflix either. Neither one of these companies care one iota about the future of the industry. They don't care about cinema. They don't care about their subscribers.
Just want the
It's all about money. So if these Netflix influencers are going to attack us because we're against Netflix, we're against Paramount too. So who's the enemy here? I'm telling you now, I don't think that any of these companies, that it's a good idea. I think it would be better if Warner Brothers stayed independent, Disney's independent, Paramount's independent. If anything, I think we need another big studio to come in and do their thing. Because the more studios you have, the more opportunities you have for the industry. The more opportunities you have for theatrical films. But you don't have that when you got two major studios that own everything. Paramount, now it'll be Paramount. Actually, it'll be three: Paramount, Disney, and I think Comcast, Universal. That's it, right? Those are the big three.
I think so, yeah. And see, this is my opinion on the whole situation. Okay, I could care less about these mergers and who got what, who trying to get who. All I care about is whoever's going to allow this man to continue his work. I don't care who do it. I don't give a damn who do it. I just want him to be able to finish what he started. That's all I care about.
That's a great point. That's a great point. We are Zack Snyder. And I said this last time. I said, I'm a Zack Snyder super fan. I'm going to follow Zack wherever he goes. That's a fact. I don't care. I don't care who does it. Like you said, I don't care who does it. I wanted Netflix to do it. I was in the Netflix camp. And I don't think Netflix is going to do it. And I don't think Netflix would do it. I don't think Netflix would do it even. I don't think that's the thing, Bishop. I don't think they would do it even if they did win. That's the problem that I'm having. And then you hear all of this stuff about what they're saying, and then you have Dan Lin coming out, and then you have them dismissing Dan Lin like he's some low level coffee guy, like he's nobody in the company because they don't like what he's saying. That doesn't make any freaking sense. Jeffrey Warfield says Dan Lin is the head of film, so he decides what goes to theaters and what goes to theaters and what goes out of theaters. Paramount isn't safe either, basically. A few days ago, the actor of animated Uncle Ironheart went scorched earth on Paramount. We only have very few major studios. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense. That's why I said the future of cinema is going to be in the hands of independents. It's going to be, you're going to still have directors like Zack Snyder, John
Yes.
Carpenter, Martin
Christopher
Scorsese,
Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, Ryan Coogler. You're going to still have all of these directors, but
And Frank
but
Fuqua.
but more of them are going to become more indie based because they're not going to want to continue to deal with the BS of these studios. It's unnecessary. That's why you like I pointed it out how I did my first film. One Punch Stand was my first movie. One Punch Stand's not going to be my last movie, but it's the first movie that I did. It was me starting out. It's the beginning. I financed it all on my own.
On
Independent
my
in,
own.
independent financing, okay, seems to be the way because you can control your content when you independently finance it. When you need a big studio to back you, that's when your creative vision gets muddled because that's when you have to answer to corporate suits. You have to deal with algorithms and all kinds of crazy stuff. So for me, I just don't understand. And like I've said before, with Zack Snyder, the last photograph, you're going to get, that's considered an indie film. That's going to get released by whatever distributor, is willing to take it on and pony up some cash to distribute it. And and that's what I'm saying. I don't have any personal affinity one way or the other towards Paramount or Netflix.
I
And
just want the man to
that's
do
the
it
part
before.
that's the part that's always bothered me. Like I've never cared. That's why talking about it is so important because you got to be open to the various possibilities. Because like I said, these are multi-billion-dollar companies. We don't control
Right.
what they do. We're never going to control what they do.
Exactly. I just want that man to be able to do his thing before I
Exactly.
turn 60, and before, or before Jesus come back. I'm telling you, because one of those two is going to happen sooner than the other. For real, the way this world is going, oh yeah, he on his way. But
The way.
I mean, for real, it's just ridiculous. It gives me a headache to just keep thinking about all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right. Right. Because this is not something that any of us are in control of. This is not
none of
something
us.
that you don't even, I can't even believe that there's actual camps where there's Netflix people, there's Paramount
Mm,
people. I can't believe
mhm.
that because the thing that makes it so ludicrous to me is neither one of these companies
Nobody.
give a damn. They don't care. None of them do.
They
So
don't care. And no, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. That's called retardation.
They don't
I
care,
said it before.
actually. Yeah, those retards.
I mean,
Retardation.
me personally, I feel like whatever happens is going to happen regardless of what we want to happen. So when it finally does happen, we just have to,
We just
we just
have to
have to
hope
make
and
the
pray
best out
that
of it and hope for the best.
we have to hope and pray that it's what we want to happen.
Yeah, because it very well may not be. Like I said, I don't like Paramount either. I would argue that I had more issues with Paramount than I did with Netflix. But either or, I don't think is a good thing for the industry, and I'm in the camp of the people that doesn't want any merger to happen. At this point, I feel like Warner Brothers needs to stay a
What's
separate
something?
entity and there needs to be a shakeup for sure. There needs to be new people. There needs to be
Disney.
new
I mean,
everything. But it needs to be its own separate thing.
Disney needs to break
Yeah,
loose from that place. Disney needs to break loose from that place. It's because they just destroy everything they
this
put
all
their hands
started
on.
with Disney anyway. They started the
Don't be
whole
playing.
merger shit.
Well,
Disney.
hey, theirs went
They
smooth.
did.
They acquired Fox. They acquired Fox, and boom, there it is. Now we getting the X Men. Okay, they shit went smooth. Y'all gonna quit. Y'all gonna quit talking about Marvel for
Yeah, but
real.
no, but all I'm saying is that
Well, we get
Fox is a lot
James
is
Gunn.
Fox is arguably a lot smaller than Warner Brothers.
Yeah, true indeed.
So you can
Yeah,
kind of
that's true.
understand why that
They're
would
so big.
why that would go through so easily. But when you're talking about two giants like Paramount and Warner Brothers, them merging, there's going to be some
Merging
antitrust
so
issues there. Just like with Netflix, there would be questions the same way. Why? Because Netflix has gotten
it's
bigger and
big.
bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
That's why. It's not
Mhm.
because nobody's questioning it because they don't think that they didn't think Netflix could do it. People are questioning it because they're thinking about the industry as a whole. They're thinking about what does this mean for movie theaters? What does this mean for actors and producers and cast and crew and various they're thinking about the industry as a whole and they're also thinking about the consumers, the moviegoers. That's what this is about. The
Mhm.
people arguing between themselves over who's better, who's worse, Netflix and Paramount are missing the plot entirely. You shouldn't even be worrying about some shit like that because number one, you don't have control over it anyway. You don't have control over if Paramount wins or Netflix wins. That's completely out of the purview of the average person. So I don't understand why it's even a thing at all. It shouldn't be a thing, okay? And
Well,
that's why I
Un- unless
specifically
you're unless you're involved somehow with the business part.
right. And you're involved in the business part. Like I said, you're an
Yeah.
influencer for Netflix. You're an
Yeah.
influencer for Paramount. You're an influencer for God knows whatever, and you have a financial stake in what's happening. That's the only time that you should even be questioning this because here's the thing about Zack Snyder. If Zack Snyder is given the opportunity at Paramount Pictures to finish his Snyderverse, you don't think he's going to do it?
of course
Netflix
he is.
people, you don't think that Zach is going to going to jump at that opportunity if he's given the opportunity to finish his movies? Because to the Netflix people, it's all about Zack Snyder anyway. That's all they care about, right? So the question I have
Supposedly.
is, what happens if Paramount says to Zach, "Hey, come on board and finish your Snyderverse"?
Something is happening. I'm telling you, Zach does not just post for no reason.
Well, but that's my point, though. My point is that's why this whole argument makes even less
It
sense
could
because if
be.
you want Zach to finish, don't you think that whoever gets it is going to see the financial potential in bringing Zach back and allowing him to do that? That's all I'm
Instant
saying.
money. Those are instant billions.
True.
Anything he does for the DCEU is instant billions.
And,
And
and
they
like I and
know
like I said last show, the only reason Rebel Moon was not a bigger success was because it was tethered to Netflix.
it. Yes.
If it was a
Yeah, that's
theatrical,
true.
if it had a chance to make money theatrically, Zack Snyder's fans, and I count myself and you guys among them, we're
Yes.
all diehard Zack Snyder fans. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't think if Rebel Moon got an actual big, theatrical
Release.
window
It
that
would
we
took off.
that we that we all wouldn't have gone to see it and gone to see it multiple times to support Zach?
Yes.
When Netflix pulled that stupid crap where they just showed it for one night or whatever in very very limited theaters and nobody really had a chance to plan to go see it or whatever. People have busy lives now, okay? People are not just sitting there waiting, oh my god, they just dropped this, rando day in the middle of a week on a Wednesday telling you, "Oh, well, do you want to go see Rebel Moon?" It's like here's the thing, man. Rebel Moon deserved to get a full-on theatrical release, and the fact that it didn't get one,
Yes.
I think, is what hurt it. Is what hurt it, honestly,
And I'm
because you
telling
don't.
you,
All you had was all you have is the streaming now.
and I'm telling you, after seeing the director's cuts of Rebel Moon, if Rebel Moon would have had a wide theatrical release, I'm telling you that whole franchise would have swole up to, and had the potential to be like a Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? It would have had the potential to have that kind of impact because the story was very good. The story and
Yeah,
the acting
yeah.
of the story,
Like I said, I was very, very invested in Rebel Moon. I'm still invested in Rebel Moon. I've got comic books and novels, and it's a great
I had
franchise.
listened to the
But
radio. You remember they had the little radio, not the radio,
yeah, the
the,
audio play
the
thing that he
audio,
did,
audio.
sure, sure,
Yeah, I was listening to
sure.
those. It was so good.
Oh, stop.
I just don't get it because to me, if you're going to if you're going to look at this from a logical, rational perspective,
Hmm.
as a fan, the only things you should be concerned with is who's going to bring Zach back and let Zach finish his work, and who is going to be more invested in in maintaining the theatrical experience. Those are the only two questions as fans I think we should be asking.
Yeah,
I don't think fans should be arguing over, oh well, you're just a shill for Paramount or you're an influencer for Netflix.
I don't give a damn.
I don't think any of that should matter. And my
Who has
and
the biggest potential? Who has the
People
biggest
are taking
potential
everything
to get this
serious.
man's work done? That's it. You know what I'm saying? And how it's going to benefit the cinema, the whole thing.
AT&T Ray didn't want to be a part of the rat race. That's what it was. AT&T was not. When I was writing Pause Not Stopped, okay, I was Mikey was helping me get quotes from various executives that were involved at the time, and some of the people that Mikey was helping me uh, get in contact with were AT&T people. And one of the things I remember uh, in talking with some AT&T people was that they just didn't want to deal with the headache, because the thing is, movies and running a big Hollywood studio was not their thing. It wasn't, they had taken it over, but it wasn't something that they wanted to. And what they didn't like was they didn't like the fact that they had to keep coming in and micromanaging
Hmm.
what Warner Brothers did, and they realized that that wasn't sustainable. You can't. You've got to let your parent company has to let you. It's like a parent, letting their children go. At some point, you got to let your children, you know, find out who they are and live their own lives. They get old enough to, make decisions, and that's the situation. Like that, like Warner Brothers, there was a guy there at AT&T who had said that who had told me the story about the CEO of AT&T at the time, John Stankey, and he had told me that Stanky had to literally come in and tell Toby Emmerich, okay, you're going to call Zack Snyder and you're going to make this happen. You're going to, this is going to happen. There's far too much fan
Blame everything on Emmerich.
anticipation and excitement for this. It's
Freaking
going to happen. So make it happen. He was Toby Emmerich. Warner Media didn't decide to just release the Snyder cut out of the kindness of their heart.
yeah.
Okay,
No, no, they were
They were forced by
it was mandated
AT&T.
by the head guy at AT&T himself.
Yes.
It was mandated. They were told, you're releasing this. It is not negotiable. It is not a question. You cannot rebuttal. You have no choice in the matter. The parent company is stepping in, and you are releasing this, okay? And that's why, for a short time after that on social media, you kept seeing, for the first time, on social media after that was announced and all that, and after it came out, the reason why you were seeing all this engagement and you were seeing AT&T accounts interacting with fans, posting, Ben Affleck, Batfleck pictures and Suicide Squad stuff and Justice League and all this. The reason why you were seeing all of this and Henry Cavill Superman stuff and Wonder Woman, all that. The reason you were seeing all of this because Warner Brothers were still waving their hands and saying, you're doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this. Warner Brothers, AT&T wanted Warner Brothers to continue with Zack Snyder's vision. Okay, that's what I found out. AT&T wanted to continue with Zack Snyder's version of DC. And
of course,
and
because it's potential billions.
Here's the thing. And if AT&T would have stayed in charge, they would have had to keep micromanaging the company, and they would have had to keep going against what their actual company wanted to do, because nobody at Warner Brothers at that time wanted anything else to do with Zack Snyder, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, none of them, okay? Particularly Toby Emmerich, and Toby Emmerich was pretty big at that point. So you have to understand that at that point, AT&T was not having it. AT&T didn't want to deal with it anymore. AT&T was like, we're going to be at this forever, and we're not going to be able to concentrate on the communications and networks and all the other things that AT&T does. We're going to have to keep micromanaging the movie studio, and we don't want to do that. So that was the reason why AT&T, that was one of the reasons. I won't say that's the whole reason, but that's part of the reason why AT&T did not stay in charge and got rid of Warner Brothers. Because I mean, you at some point you have to let go. At some point you do. And like I said, they just weren't having it. Okay. Now, unfortunately, again, I talk about Pause Not Stop so fondly because I was working on it for a long time, and I was working on it with Mikey, and Mikey was helping me with it a lot, and it was a beautiful thing, and it was wonderful, and Mikey was going to publish the book, and we all know what happened with Mikey, and it's a tragedy, and it's very, very sad, and I think about Mikey a lot, and I miss him more and more every day, especially with the way things have transpired since he passed away. I don't think that Mikey would be very happy with the way this community kind of decayed and fractured and went in all these different directions after he died. I don't think Mikey would be very happy with that. But again, like I said, this is why we're in this situation now with Warner Brothers, because if AT&T would have stayed in control, I don't think you would have had any of this. And we wouldn't have to worry about Zach. We wouldn't have to worry about theaters, because the people in charge at AT&T were purists, and they wanted things to continue. They wanted Zach to continue, and they were all about theatrical stuff too. So there wouldn't have been any problem. Okay. The issue is that you're that's why the social media, like I said, was all about the Snyderverse, was all about Ben Affleck as Batman, was all about this and that. Because at the time, AT&T was just like, we're going to dictate actions. We're going to tell them what they're going to do, what they're not going to do, and we're going to get this Snyderverse back on track, because this is what the fans want. Say what you will about the AT&T headed AT&T John at the time. Say what you will about him, but he wanted to give the people what they wanted, and he saw potential in the Snyderverse. Okay,
Yeah.
and I would have loved to have been able to interview him for Pause Nonstop because that was something that Mikey was. That was another interview that Mikey was trying to help me with, because that would have been a wonderful, wonderful interview, because I would have been so excited because he was so like supportive, like diehard supportive. He was like, Toby Emmerich, no, you're doing this, okay? So anybody that tells Toby Emmerich at the time, you're doing this, bro, okay? There's no questions. That's pretty awesome. I mean, you get all the respect in the world like that, because nobody's talking to Toby like that because he's too big. But John at the top of AT&T, he wasn't having it. So I honestly that was cool. But I mean, it is what it is, and we're in the situation that we're in. So the point I'm trying to make is, as fans, we should just wait to see how it all shakes out, and not be so factionated by it's got to be Warner, it's got to be Netflix, it's got to be Paramount, it's got to be. At this point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is what happens after. That's what matters. What happens is who's going to right the ship, who's going to give the theaters and the industry more, who's going to look after us as consumers and moviegoers. That's what it's about. It's not about Netflix or Paramount or any other company. It's so exhausting, and it's crazy for me to see nerds like this, man, literally at each other's throats over corporate mergers that have nothing to do with anything going on in your real life.
They don't really understand corporate mergers. Why would you care, man?
Good evening, Justin Proper. It's good to see you, my friend. I hope all is going well with you, my friend. Nobody in the industry really cares about us. They just need to pay bills themselves. I agree. I completely agree. And that's another reason why this is so stupid. That's another reason why this is like it's so crazy. You've got friends turning on friends that they've been friends with for years over nothing but differences in ideologies over corporate companies. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's how it is now. You know, everybody's doing it, not just with this, but with everything now. That's it. With everything, and I'm just, and it just makes me sad as a human being. It makes me sad to see that things have gotten this guttural with people over nothing, literally, because that's really what it boils down to. It's nothing. Is Paramount putting money in your pocket? No. Is Netflix putting money in your pocket? Well, no. Maybe if you're a Netflix influencer, maybe they are putting money in your pocket. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, I know I'm not getting any money from Netflix. I know I'm not getting any money from Paramount. I know I'm not getting any money from any of these companies. Listen, I self-finance, again, I'll say it again, I self-financed the One Punch Dan movie. When I made One Punch Dan, I didn't want to go through a studio. I don't want to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get One Punch Dan on a streaming service. So when I made the One Punch Dan movie, I was hell-bent on giving it a physical media release, which is one of the reasons why we started JoeDen Music, so that physical releases could be a thing, which is why you can now buy the One Punch Dan movie on Blu Ray. You can now buy the One Punch Dan movie on DVD. You can buy the soundtracks. The reason is because I see the value in physical media, just like I see the value in movie theaters. There is value in all of that. Streaming services have essentially ruined our lives as movie goers and fans of this stuff. I've got a really big physical media collection. I think I said this on my last show.
been collecting movies since I was a kid. I've got tons of DVDs. I've got Blu-rays. I've got, all this stuff, and I love this stuff. I've always been into physical media. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, it has so many advantages over streaming that it's not even
Yeah.
funny. And to see streamers have this much power in the industry is absolutely crazy.
Well,
It should never have gotten to this point. It's like
Yeah, that's right.
it's like Sox said a couple shows ago when he said that it's like cable TV 2.0 now, where essentially
yeah.
you're paying so much for streaming that you might as well still have cable TV.
Well, it's the natural evolution of these things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah, the natural evolution, which is why I've gone back to physical media. And we have to talk a little bit about physical media. We have to talk a little bit about the One Punch Dan movie on Blu-ray. This is the limited edition One Punch Dan movie on Blu-ray. This has a lot of
Wow.
special features and things that is not on the standard edition Blu-ray version that I put out. That's right. There's a standard edition and there is this limited edition. Now,
mhm.
this limited edition was available for a while, and then I reduced it this weekend and gave people an opportunity to get it at $25. I want to thank the people that bought it at $25, because those of you that did, that was great, because now it's no longer available. So there is a standard edition Blu-ray that is now available for the same price, for $25. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the limited edition had, but you'll still get the movie in HD, and you'll still get a few features here and there. But it's not the same as the limited edition, but it's the standard edition. So that's the version that will always be available. Just like the collector's edition DVD. The collector's edition DVD will always be available because it is, it's what I consider to be the standard for the DVD, and I don't think there'll be a better DVD version. So for those that ordered stuff over the weekend, I want you to know that your copies are either processing, and in some cases have shipped already. And and for those that are part of the cast of One Punch Dan, those of you that wanted copies, I have begun sending those out to you. So you guys should be receiving start to receive that stuff within the next week or two. And that's the other thing. It takes a while. It takes a while because this stuff comes directly from the manufacturer. It's made on demand, so they don't actually hold them in stock or anything. They once the order is placed, then they literally start the process of making it, and then once it's finished, then it comes out of the factory and you get it. It gets shipped. So I'm excited because One Punch Dan is, it's nice to be getting a little bit of support from One Punch Dan, because I really feel like, support for the movie has been rather lackluster. And I'm not going to say that I expected a lot of support. I'm not, and I said this before, I don't expect to become a millionaire off of One Punch Dan, but I expected a lot more support than I've gotten from it, to be, if I'm being completely honest. But I'm grateful to those of you that have purchased copies, and I'm excited to want for you guys to actually receive your copies and to be able to finally enjoy the movie, because some of you, when you get your copy in the mail, this is going to be the first time you've seen the movie. A lot of these people have never seen it because they don't like watching, they're not into downloading stuff digitally, and they don't want to become a member of my YouTube channel to watch it streaming, so So they bought a physical copy, and it's going to be their first experience with it. So I'm looking forward to getting some more opinions and getting some more eyes on my first film, because I'm working on the director's cut, and I'm also in the process of pre-production on Hombo Hombo, which is my second film. So all of these things, are important, with regards to the future, because again, I love the fact that One Punch Dan is this little indie superhero movie. I'm just this amateur indie superhero filmmaker, this amateur that has access to this technology, right? I'm an amateur, but my movie is out. It's out on Blu-ray. It's retail. You can buy it, right? So I must have did something right. Because my movie is available. So you guys, hey, listen.
I
I
think it's selling. Yeah.
It
Oh,
is selling. That's
it
why.
is
Okay,
selling. That's
again, this is the limited edition. The limited edition sold over the weekend because they knew they could get it. Some people realized that they could get it for $25, and they were like, okay, that's a good deal for the limited edition Blu-ray, right? That's a good deal
yeah.
for this, and I think it is, because I love this version of the movie. I love the fact. I mean, it just looks so good and crisp in full HD, and then it's got all the special features, some behind the scenes stuff. It's got music videos and a couple soundtrack albums on it. It's got a lot of stuff, guys. And and I almost forgot. It has this limited edition One Punch Dan poster card on the inside, which
Oh,
Yeah,
has the
cool.
faces of some of our heroes. And so I am absolutely elated that this was available, and you guys. But now it's the standard edition, standard Blu-ray edition's turn to uh, be up at bat, and that one will always be $25 because it's a it's just a it's the standard Blu-ray edition. It'll always be $25, and the DVD, the collector's edition DVD, is $15. Okay, so
Mhm.
it's $15. It has special features on it that the first version on DVD did not have. So you are getting some bonuses there. What's up, Socks? Good to see you. Good to
hey,
see you,
Hey,
Sin
Sam.
John.
Havoc.
Hey,
Oh my
Sam.
God, Belle, it is so nice to
Wow.
see you. I hope all is going well with you.
Bell, Belarus.
Hey.
Hey, Bell.
Belle is one of my all-time favorite people. I mean, she is so much fun, and she always does some great streams and things like that. And then she
Hey,
takes
Bam.
takes breaks off of YouTube and then comes back. And I don't get a chance to see Belle, not nearly as much as I used to, but I absolutely love Belle. Belle's amazing, and so I'd actually like Belle to see my movie. So I'm gonna reach out to Belle and see if she would like me to send her a Blu-ray copy of One Punch Dan, because I'd
Mhm.
be curious to see what Belle would think of the movie. I but I have to say, guys, I'm very, very happy with the fact that One Punch Dan is finally it's starting to pick up a little bit. People are starting to, it's
Yeah,
starting
that's
to,
cool.
it's starting to finally move a little bit. Whereas it's starting to get, people are starting to recognize, hey, this is actually the real deal. This is a thing. Zod actually, he really, it's a real movie. It really exists. And so I'm hoping that obviously that it becomes successful, so that it can help me fund the future of JoeDen Music and all of the other projects that we have coming out in the future, because there's a lot of
Mhm.
work going on. You guys just have no idea. The two and a half
That's the
hour
reason why
One Punch Dan director's cut
I'm
is
bringing
is
my laptop. to let my cousin see the movie
Cool.
for
I,
our planned reunion
yeah,
this
you've got the movie in HD. So I'm happy that
yes.
you have a copy of the movie. I know you don't have a Blu-ray player or a DVD player or whatever, but I feel like that anybody that has a Blu-ray player, anybody that has a DVD player, you know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
you have it, you can experience it, and I prefer, for me, I prefer it that way. And I said this before. My favorite way to watch One Punch Man is on DVD. I like the DVD because the DVD just has that, it's that has that retro feel. And not only that, I like the way the I like the way the DVD makes the movie look. It makes the movie look a lot more understated, and doesn't make it look so bold and vibrant like the HD Blu-ray version does. The DVD just has that retro aesthetic superhero feel, and I really love watching it on DVD. So that's my preferred way to
Cool.
watch the movie. Funny enough, all things considered, but it does look really great on Blu-ray. But I'm just talking about my personal preference as far as you know when I watch the movie. And again, it's wonderful. It's just wonderful to see people finally taking an interest in it, in ways that they weren't before. Because
Hmm.
I didn't know if I didn't know if anybody was really interested in the movie. I had gotten to the point where I was thinking, well, you know, are
But I told you to
we?
give us. I told you to give us some time. It's going to blow up. It's going to be more
I
popular.
think it is. I think it's going to blow up. I think it. I think it needed time. I agree with you. I'm not saying that. I just think it's just surprising to me that all the all the stuff that's transpired since I released it on March 14th. I think it's when I look at what transpired, I feel like that was like literally the furthest thing from what I thought it would be. So I'm absolutely excited at the prospect of it finally getting a little bit of recognition, and to
Hmm.
finally see people looking to get it, and caring enough about it to actually look into it and consider buying it, because I know times are tough right now, and I know a lot of people don't have spare a lot of money laying around to take chances on things that they don't really know if it's going to be any good or not. I mean, I totally understand that, which is why I
Yeah.
which is why I was trying to make it as affordable as possible, because I don't know what people have going on. I don't know but I do know that there are a lot of physical media collectors out there that will buy
Hmm.
any movies just to have them on the shelf. I know that there's an audience out there for this kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead here and post the link in the chat here for those that might be interested in maybe purchasing a copy of the One Punch Man movie, or any of the accompanying soundtracks. We have the two soundtrack albums on the link, as well as the Blu-ray or the DVD you could choose from. We had some other things, but unfortunately, some of those other items went out of print because they did not
Hmm.
sell. And there was and it's unfortunate, but if it doesn't sell, it doesn't stay. So that's the problem. So the things that you see up on the link right now. If you click on it, you have your choice of the music of the One Punch Stand movie Unplugged, or the One Punch Stand movie original motion picture soundtrack album, the Essential Edition, the One Punch Stand movie standard Blu-ray, or the One Punch Stand movie collector's edition DVD. And those are your choices. 4 options. All of those options are good, I have to say. Like I said, if you ask me, for this particular cut of One Punch Stand, my favorite way to watch it is on DVD. I love the DVD. That's my go-to when I want to watch it now. But if you love HD and you love all that, color popping off the screen and the, high quality visuals, then you'll love the Blu-ray edition.
Yes.
So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to plug One Punch Stand for a little bit before we transition into our main topic of the night, which is my review of the Masters of the Universe movie. And I brought Bishop on specifically to talk with me about this, since he saw the movie as well. So we're going to do a little bit of a traditional style review. So for those who just joined us, you missed, we talked a little bit about the merger, okay, about the Paramount and Warner Brothers, whatever's going on there, and I did a shameless plug for One Punch Stand for the last 12 minutes, and now we'll talk a little bit about Masters of the Universe. So, for starters, before we get into that, Qatar, have you seen Masters of the Universe? Qatar.
Well, part of it, but I didn't finish it.
Part of it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Wait,
Part of it?
yeah, part of it because okay, it's just
Oh,
part
so
of it
just
because
commercials or
yeah,
whatever? Oh,
I'm
okay.
at home.
So
Yes.
okay, so Bishop, you've seen the film in its entirety, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I've seen the film as well, and so I guess we'll
Don't
start
mind
this
me.
way.
I'm full of
I'm like,
spoilers.
are you okay with spoilers, Qatar? Because I don't want to spoil it for you if you have plans to go see it in the near future. Okay. So, Bishop,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to start by asking you,
Mhm.
we're going to start this review with, like, your overall thoughts on the movie.
Well, I really enjoyed it. It was like watching an actual live action version of the cartoon. Um, and that's good in some ways and bad in some ways,
No,
because
okay.
the only gripes I really have with the movie is they made Adam too goofy, for lack of a better word. He wasn't like
Adam.
that in the,
Uh,
yes, he wasn't like that in the cartoon series. He was a little aloof, maybe about certain things and stuff, but he still had a dignity about him. You know what I'm saying? And at certain times, this Adam, he would have that in certain places, but then he would just get just goofy again. It's just it was aggravating a little bit. And even when he was He-Man, even after his transformations, he was still acting like he was a little, off.
Goofy.
And yeah,
Okay, well,
goofy.
from what I've heard, the director, Travis Knight,
Hmm.
uh, put a lot of, and this is allegedly well, I think he said this in an interview that he put a lot of himself in the character of Adam. So growing up, he was a scrawny kid who was picked on a lot and that kind of thing, and so they kind of attributed that to Adam, and that's one of my nitpicks with the movie as well, the fact that you're injecting things into the character that were not a part of the character with the original show. Now I grew up a big Masters of the Universe fan. I mean, I had all the toys as a kid. My cousin and I used to play with these action figures. My cousin had Castle Grayskull. I am a lifelong Masters of the Universe fan. I am not going to sit here and try to pretend like I wasn't a fan of this and I didn't know anything about this material. I know enough because I lived it. Okay, so I don't just know it. I lived it. I loved it, and I've got tons of I've even got like hardcover He-Man graphic novels, and so I'm a big fan. Okay,
right.
So this movie, I'm in this demographic. Okay, and so when I watch this movie, there's certain things that, as a He-Man fan, you're expecting. And I feel like, for the most part, I mean, we got that. I mean, we got a lot of what we would have wanted as a kid. Like, if I were 10 years old and this movie were to come out in theaters and I was 10, I would lose my mind. I'd probably love it. Now, I didn't appreciate. Now, with that being said, I didn't appreciate all the adult toilet humor. I didn't appreciate that. The James Gunn-esque toilet humor. I didn't quite appreciate that. I thought that was completely unnecessary because you're trying to get new kids into this. You want kids that are under 12. You want kids that are under 12 to start, to kind of to take to this. You want them to become fans of this. So you're not. So I don't understand. So I kind of felt like the movie had a bit of an identity issue because it didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know if it wanted to appeal to children. If it wanted to appeal to the 40, 50, and 60-year-olds who remember all this shit, or if they wanted it to just be a straight up, comedy, doing like social commentary about, about culture and all the various memes that the internet has come up with over the last 3 or 4 decades. I found a lot of it my biggest problem with the movie was the humor. That was my biggest problem. And I'm not saying that it was a little bit too goofy. Like some of it I felt was completely justified. Like I loved at the end where they were all standing around laughing at the end, because that's what they used to do that's what they used to do at the end of the show. They used to do that. They used to do that kind of stuff.
I love that.
I love
those things like that. See, that's what the little nuances they did hit on certain points of what you wanted to see in the He-Man universe. They gave you some of those little nuances. But then it's just like certain things that would take you out of the movie because Adam wouldn't act like that or He-Man wouldn't act like that, and I saw some people had issues with the fact that there was stuff happening on Earth and all that, and my answer to that question is, if you go back and you watch the Filmation
animated series, okay, Adam's mother is from Earth.
Yeah, she
Adam's
is.
mother is
Yeah,
literally
that's
from
true.
Earth. So
Yeah.
it's not like the Earth thing was completely invented for this movie. Adam's
Right.
original mother, birth mother, is from Earth.
From Earth.
So there are reasons why you
Yes.
can ways you can incorporate that into the story. Now with that being said, I also found it a little bit jarring how the sorceress, because we're going to have spoilers here, the
Yeah.
sorceress sends Adam through the portal. He goes back to Earth, and he's a little kid. He's this scrawny 8-year-old or 10-year-old, whatever. They send him through, and then you
Watch.
don't see anything about the life that he lives as a kid. You don't know anything about it. You did the next time you see him, he's working this job, this HR job, and you don't know any. He's got this weird roommate that's crying while he's watching the Notebook and all this weird stuff. You don't have any you don't
They
have
did.
any you don't have any backstory as
They
to
did that
what
to her.
Adam did at all.
They did that to hurry the story along. That's all that was because they wanted to get to the last one.
I was gonna get to that. I was gonna say they pulled a one punch Dan and basically cut some
Yes, yes.
stuff so that they could just move the story along a little faster, because this movie is like 2.5 hours long. So they they were pushing, they were trying to move it quickly because they had a lot of story to tell. But my thing is, they could have expounded on some of that, gave us a little bit of that, and cut down on some of the excess jokes that didn't land. Some of the excess scenes that they had where they had all that extra goofiness that they didn't need to have in the movie to make it a little more serious. They
Right.
would have they could have cut some time there.
Right.
I was actually counting when I was watching it. I'm like, they could literally cut like 12 minutes worth of jokes out of this shit.
They could
Like
have.
seriously, there was a lot of stuff in there that was completely unnecessary.
They could
Yeah,
But
have.
those jokes killed
I.
this
but with
movie.
that but with
I
that being
know.
said, I loved this movie. I
I
loved this
do.
movie.
I
I
had.
I had so much fun. I had so much fun with this movie. The HR, you know who the HR lady reminded me of? The HR lady that he worked
Oh,
for.
March. Yeah.
Do you
Ooh.
know who she reminded me of? She
Who?
reminds me a lot. She reminds me a lot of Yolanda, because she has that
Okay.
Okay.
like Yolanda's like professional, like
Right.
Yolanda's
That,
professional. Like you when Yolanda's professional, that's what Yolanda sounds like.
she's like,
And
okay.
and I love that character. I thought that character was spot on. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Now, 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 there's other. Now, like I said, I love the movie thoroughly, but there's some things that were missing that pissed me off, like Orko.
Orko wasn't missing, Bishop. What are you
I
talking
didn't.
about?
Where was he?
Orko was at the you see him during the credits. He gives the lesson
Oh,
at the end of the
well,
movie.
well, you know what?
So you left early?
I didn't leave early. You know, I
You
didn't
didn't
watch it in the
see
theater.
the end credits.
Oh, okay. So
They left early.
you watched it another way. You didn't watch it in
Right.
the theater. Okay, blame.
They
Oh,
because I haven't
oh,
seen
Okay,
the three
okay,
the
well
three
the
blame
three
Bishop
end
then.
credits.
But that can't be a negative. That can't be a negative, Bishop, because Orko is in the movie. And
okay.
Orko was fantastic. Okay, I have
Okay.
to say that
I'll
was
take
one of my that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
okay.
He did the lesson in today's
Okay.
story. He gave the lesson
Like in the cartoon. Like in the
like in the
Yeah,
cartoon. Yeah, it was
okay.
like in the
awesome.
cartoon.
My bad.
Okay,
Okay. I didn't
I
just
see.
figure that out.
I'm
Uh,
okay. So
well,
I just assumed that you had seen it, all of it. So I
no,
didn't.
yeah. That's the
Yeah,
only thing I
no,
mentioned
no.
was those three. Um,
I
but okay. All right, so we're gonna leave that out. But the second transformation that he transformed into He-Man, after restoring the sword, he should have hit Cringer and transformed him, like in the cartoon.
I think the reason they didn't do that was because of budget. That's what I think it is. To be honest with you, it was probably budget for the CGI. It was
That was a
budget.
missed opportunity.
It was budget
That,
because they'll probably do that. They'll probably do that in the next one that goes
yeah,
direct to Amazon Prime, because Amazon's probably not going to release another theatrical version because nobody went to see this. Yeah, Bishop next time watch the whole movie. Yeah,
I would if I had an opportunity. I wasn't watching it in the theaters. If you get my drift, I
Oh,
Okay,
didn't leave early. They
yeah.
did.
well, I did.
Drift,
I did.
drift.
I watched it. I watched it in the theaters, and
I'm disabled. I can get out of that.
I absolutely loved it. And
I
I
loved it too.
I'm
Tila was on
I
point.
wanted to come out on video as quickly as possible, because the next time I hang out with Crystal or hang out with Yolanda, I want to watch that movie, because that movie was fantastic. Like, I loved everything. Like,
Yeah.
my favorite thing about this movie, and the standout for me, aside from the HR
Come on.
Yolanda, was Skeletor.
Yes. Very
Jared Leto nailed this character. This
Oh,
is gotta be, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it, his
go ahead.
Skeletor is better than his Joker.
Yep.
I
Yep.
his Skeletor,
Oh man, that's cool.
he was born
Even
to
though,
play Skeletor, man.
wait a minute now, even though we didn't get a chance to see him really show out as the Joker like he's supposed to, but you are correct. His Skeletor was mwah,
No.
on
His
point.
Skeletor, he
It
not
was
only did he nail that role, but he
uh,
embodied the character, and
did he all
you could tell he was just having so much
so
fun,
much fun. Yeah,
chewing up the scenery, calling people boobs, going after people. He was so dope. That's how Skeletor's supposed to be. See, this is why I don't understand the people that are going around calling this movie woke, because this movie was not woke.
how?
This movie made fun of everything.
Yes,
There were woke elements in it, but that's only because they were making fun of those elements.
yes.
And I think people misinterpreted all the stuff about feelings and all that stuff. I think a lot of that
Oh
was
man,
tongue in cheek. Because
it was.
if you're a He-Man fan, the only thing you care about is this big, strong, muscle-bound He-Man kicking ass. That's what you care about. That's what you want to see.
And
That's
you could
what you're
tell,
there for.
and you could tell that it was making Man of Arms kind of uncomfortable to even talk about feelings. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
tongue in
It's like
cheek.
all of those parts that people, are trying to claim that it's woke, I thought were funny as hell. I was
Yeah,
laughing during those
listen.
scenes. Like, I love the scene where Adam is out on that date with that girl, and he's telling her the
Yeah,
story,
and
and
she's like,
like, she's trying to humor him, but she's thinking he's a weirdo, and she's
and
just
she's
like,
like,
and then the whole thing with the cell phone, like, oh, I gotta
yeah,
take this
I gotta
call, I
go.
gotta go.
I gotta
Like,
go.
it was great. I'm like, see, that's true to life. If you try to tell somebody that, that's exactly what they're going to do. That's this movie. Like I said, I thought the movie was so well done. There were things in the movie that I absolutely hated, but yet I still loved this movie. I can't
I did
explain it.
too.
Like, there were things
I
in the
did
movie
too.
that I just, like, I could, like you said, like, there were things that just annoyed the shit out of me.
Like
But
one of the things that annoyed me too was the fact that each one of the characters got their name because that's what he called them when he was little. You know, that kind of bugged me too because I'm like,
Man.
no, that's trap jaw. You know what I'm saying? That's Triclops.
I,
That's
I
nothing there.
that really didn't bother me so much because I felt like they were trying to like. I'm just glad that they came up. That was a better excuse than because I was worried. You know what I was worried, Bishop? I was worried they were going to say that it was all in his head, that it was a dream. That's what I was worried
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
I was worried. I was like, oh no, please
Yeah.
don't have this be a dream. Especially when they had, you remember when they had that scene where Skeletor was at his job and you see
yeah.
Skeletor wearing
Yeah, he had
wearing
a
like
suit.
the
That
suit
suit
and
had a suit.
he's sipping his he's sipping his coffee and he's in the office. Like I was like, oh God, please don't make this be a dream. Please don't
That
make this be a dream.
that purple suit he had over his shirt, boy. I was like,
I was
no.
worried. I was so worried. I was so worried the movie was going to be a dream. I was going. I was like, no, please, whatever you do, don't make it a dream. That's why I didn't really have a problem with them saying because he was a kid, he made up those names so that
It was,
he wouldn't forget those
I know
people.
what you
And so I kind of liked it because I thought it was more clever
It was,
than it
but
would have been to say, oh well, you know, it was all just a dream. He's just a nut job, and you know, like that. Because think about it, Bishop. They could have just as easily went in that direction, and
they could have, but
that's you know
I just,
that would have been horrible.
I just would have rather have like like in the cartoons how Skeletor would call out their names, like and stuff like that, do that like the roll call or something like that. That would have been cool. That would have been a little cooler to me.
Well,
But
I think in future installments that we'll see on Amazon Prime, because we're probably not going to ever get another one in the theater, but I think they you know they might actually use those names now. They might actually go by those names. That would make sense now. Like the whole idea, like at the end when they were like when him and Cringer go off at the very end and
uh,
they're like does he think we forgot that we're not going to know that he's
right,
like
everybody knows.
I like that too because that was a nod to the idea of him having like a Clark Kent like identity, a secret identity
Uh,
thing. So I really like that too. I thought that was clever.
yeah,
But my thing is they you could tell that this movie, the reason why there's so much infuriating stuff in this movie is because this movie has 6 different writers from
right.
like six different scripts for this movie, and you're just like, that's the reason why you've got so much good stuff in there, but then
Yeah,
you've got all kinds of crap too because and it's like you
but
almost got
see,
to like wade through it, but it's like the movie shines through regardless
what
and
I was
gives
gonna
you
say,
a good experience. So
what it is like, yes, there's crap in it, but it's so much good stuff in it that it kind of excuses the crap. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I mean, I love the whole, and I even love Dolph Lundgren's cameo
Yes,
from the 1987
Yeah.
version of
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe. His
yes,
cameo was
Yes.
dope because his
it
cameo
was.
was it was like spot on. It was
Yeah,
awesome. I was like, that is
Practically passing the
perfect.
torch.
They could
one
have
of my,
they. I don't think they could have did that any better. I thought that was dope. Like
yeah,
I was.
that was the perfect way to pass the torch. It was wonderful. And one of my favorite scenes though,
Yeah.
when he was trying to transform, and then you saw the sorceress, and she was like in her eagle form, but she was still in her human form. Her costume looked just like the cartoon, and she was like, "Say the word." Oh, I was like, "Oh, I got chills." I was like, "Yeah, say the
Yeah.
words. Say the words. Damn it, say the words." She's
Yeah,
like,
he
By the
"Say it
power
by
of
the power of
Grayskull.
Grayskull." Yes. Oh,
it the only thing and like I said, I'm like a sucker for the old Masters of the Universe, the old Filmation cartoon. I love
mm-hmm.
it so much that I really wanted him to be 2 different people when he was He-Man
Yes.
and Adam, and I didn't like the fact that there really wasn't that duality, that he was the same. He's the same when he's the same goofy when he's Adam and when he's He-Man.
He-Man.
I just wanted.
He gets more bolder when he's He-Man,
and he does, and you do get to see at the end. You do get to see at the end that he does become He-Man. Like you finally see that, but like I was like, no, he's got to have that separate. He's got to have that dual identity. As stupid as it is, he's got to have that dual identity because that was core in the show. That was a big part of it, and I wanted to see it, and it wasn't there. So I was disappointed that wasn't there. But the thing is, it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the movie. I enjoyed myself the whole time, so I wasn't mad. I just. Like I said, it was such a mishmash of all sorts of different things that it just was hard to be like. I would almost say that it was a little hard to follow, just because it does kind of veer into a lot of different directions. Just because of the way the writing is all over the place, not necessarily the story itself, but the different directions that they were going. It was like these writers were all having like tug of wars with each other about what direction they wanted to take the story, and you could tell when you're watching it that that's exactly what was going on, because one minute you're thinking, oh, it's supposed to be funny. And then the next minute you're thinking, oh no, we're supposed to take it seriously. And it's like, no, at this moment he's supposed to be getting in touch with his feelings. No, at this moment he's supposed to be masculine and he's supposed to kick the crap out of Skeletor. So it's the dynamic is all over the place. But it was still so much fun, guys.
It really was. But there's only, I'm gonna see if you can guess who it was, what character. There's only one actress in here that I did not like. Evelyn.
I didn't like Evelyn either. And you know what's funny? Evelyn is getting all this praise from people online, and I don't understand why. She was nothing like Evelyn.
She didn't have the gravitas. She didn't have.
She could have had the gravitas, but they didn't give her enough to do. She had nothing to do. There were times where they were trying to make her look. They were trying to make it look. They were trying to like insinuate she was going to do some stuff, and then they never had her do anything. I think that was the writer's fault more than the actress, to tell you the truth. I think she could have pulled it off if she was given material, but they didn't give her nothing. They didn't give her nothing to go with. She just didn't.
For me, she didn't have the look. The woman that played her in Dolph Lundgren's movie, the one with the eyes.
Oh yeah.
She gave you Evelyn.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she gave you Evelyn.
Oh yeah. Even Laura. What's her name? Headley from 300, who voiced Evelyn in Kevin Smith's follow-up was a much better Evelyn than what we got in this. I honestly, I agree with you.
Her costume wasn't right. It was like she just couldn't. It's like she couldn't hold the character. To me, she was not my Evelyn. Because I love me some Evelyn. Two of my favorite characters in there is Evelyn and the Sorceress, and Evelyn, she just wasn't hitting it for me.
No, she wasn't. But like I said again, they didn't give her a lot either. She didn't really. There wasn't nothing for her to do. Like when there was a scene in there where you think she's gonna betray Skeletor. Like they're setting it up. They were literally like setting it up like she's gonna betray Skeletor, and then it never happens. Like, but see,
I know. And the fact, and another thing is like when she was talking to Skeletor, when Evelyn talks to Skeletor, she talks, with this like, oh, Skeletor, don't worry. You know your plans
Right.
will all.
She needed. Well, that's the other thing she needed. She needed an accent. She didn't have an
Right.
accent. That's another problem. You know who I think would have been. You know what's funny. You know who I think would have been a good Evelyn. You know who I
Who?
think could have pulled it off? Gal
Who?
Gadot.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Because she was a good evil queen, even though that movie sucked. But
I would disagree with you on that. I didn't think that movie sucked. I actually got some enjoyment out of that movie. I thought that movie was actually pretty decent, and that's exactly what I was thinking about when I saw Evil Lynn. I was like, imagine Gal Gadot as Evil Lynn instead of because the evil queen was a little bit too much. The evil queen was a little bit too much in Snow White, but I think she could have pulled off Evelyn because she wouldn't have had to sing. She wouldn't have had to. She could have just played the character, and she's got the look too. Yes. So I think she could have like totally nailed the character.
She's got it.
Yeah, bro. So that's where I was. I was like they could have cast, and so I agree that I think to some degree Evelyn was miscast, but I also blame the writers because I feel like they didn't give her enough to give her a chance to even try to show out. They didn't give her nothing to show out with. It was just like lame.
It's like she was too busy being scared of Skeletor. I mean, it was just like
she was too busy being scared of him and just standing around most of the time. It was ridiculous.
Because in the cartoon, she know how far to take it with Skeletor, but she ain't scared of him.
Right. I agree. I think she's just so for me. She was my least. She was one of my least favorite, and the internet would disagree because the internet there seems to be all this love for her as Evil Lynn. I don't know why because I just don't think that was legit. Her
stature, her voice, the way because Evil Lynn supposed to look at him like give him one of those, and every time she tried to do it, it just looked like she wanted to cry.
Right. She really was. I really feel like she was out of her element there. And all the people saying this, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is woke because of Tila." I'm like, have you watched the show? Have you watched the show? Tila was always like this. But they're saying that it's woke because of Tila, right? And I'm like Tila was always like this. Tila was like this in the original show. How can you be a Masters of the Universe fan and be against the idea of Tila being a complete badass? Tila
was like the Wonder Woman of that genre. You know what I'm saying?
Until we get She-Ra, I was honestly surprised that anybody had any complaints about Tila whatsoever because to me Tila was exactly like how she was supposed to be.
Yes.
That's how I would expect Tila to be. Like if Tila wasn't like that, I would have been disappointed because Tila is like that in the show. That's how she is.
And what was so cool too, at the end, they put her in her traditional outfit on the cartoon.
At the very end, they did a very filmation accurate costume where Adam was in the pink vest and you had all the so it was the way it was supposed to be. So that's what gives me hope. That's another thing that gives me a lot of hope for future installments on Amazon Prime. And I keep saying that because I don't think this movie is going to get another theatrical when nobody went to see it. Like you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to make your money off of merchandising. You're going to make your money off of the movie when it hits video and all that, but you're not going to
squeeze another one out. They might squeeze another one out.
Well, they've already confirmed they're going to make another one, but I think it's going to go directly to Amazon. I don't think it's going to be theatrical. Yeah. I think they used theatrical for this as like promotion to try to get Masters of the Universe back into the consciousness of people. I think that's what it is. This is why you're seeing. This is why you're seeing. You're gonna start to see physical like steelbook releases of like all the old shows and you're seeing all that because they're trying to get Masters of the Universe back into the thing because they want it to be they want to make new fans, which is good, which is what they should be doing. So I'm all for it.
I'm very optimistic that that they're taking notes from this first one, seeing what the crowd didn't like and what they do like, and they go and they rework for the second one, and give us something just gonna just blow our minds. I hope. I want to know when somebody gonna get on the Thundercats. Damn it!
Well, I've already stated this before that if I get some free time once I finish the One Punch Man sequel, if I finish the One Punch Man sequel and however many years from now that is, if I finish the One Punch Man sequel and Thundercats still hasn't been made, I'm making that movie. All right, because I'm not gonna live my life. I'm not gonna become an old man and not have a Thundercats movie.
We got to, man. Before I leave this earth, I got to see me some damn live action Thundercats. Oh my goodness.
We need Thundercats. It's got to happen. So I'm there with you on that. And the other thing I want to talk about is the very end, where you get to see Adora. She-Ra is coming. She-Ra. I swear, when I saw her standing there, they showed her in the back, and she had that line about something, with Hordak, Oh my God, it's gonna be off the hook. It's gonna be dope.
Hordak is more powerful than Skeletor.
Of course.
Wait a minute. Hordak and Skeletor fight. Ooh.
And we know Skeletor's coming back because he cackled when Evil-Lyn kicked his skeleton at the end. So I have to say I absolutely loved and hated this movie all at the same time, but loved it more than I hated it. I gotta give it. My final rating for Masters of the Universe. I gotta give it an 8 out of 10.
He was so funny. He was so funny when he took the crown after he first took the crown, and he was like, and wasn't nobody else laughing.
and I will say it again. This is I give this movie an 8 out of 10. This is Jared Leto's best role. He was born to play. He was born to play Skeletor. He was incredible in the role, and I hope he gets brought back for the next one. I hope he does, because he was amazing.
He was excellent. Excellent.
Sin Havoc gives it an 8 out of 10 as well. Okay, Bishop, what do you give it?
8.1234567.
No, I don't do all that mess. Damn all that. I'll give it a solid 9.
Okay, cool.
I'll give it a solid 9 because I enjoyed myself thoroughly, and they touched a lot of the heartstrings. See, what gets me for a movie, like especially with a franchise like this, is if you hit the nuances. See, it's all about the nuances in the movie, because we have been watching. Listen, every morning before I went to school, I watched He-Man and then She-Ra, and then and I went to school every single morning. Okay, so
I would come home. I would come home from school, and at 4:00, He-Man would be on, and at 4:30, Thundercats would come on.
Now see, in the afternoon, Thundercats would come on for me. But see, in the afternoon after I got home, that was Superman, the black and white one, Batman, and then Wonder Woman. So, yeah. and then I'll go outside for a couple hours. But we know these people, and you know the beats that the music notes and stuff. When they started playing the He-Man music at the end, I was losing my mind.
Right. Now that got me at the end, because that's the other thing. That's the other thing I want to give credit to for this movie. 100%. That soundtrack was fantastic. The music all the way through was wonderful. Like that, and then at the very end when they played the actual He-Man music from the cartoon at the end, it was so good. I was like, wow. And how about that? How about all the Highlander references in there too? I thought, this is fantastic. They're like being completely. They're like giving us exactly. They know exactly who they're gearing this for. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's certain times where you could tell they knew exactly who this was for, and then there were certain times it was like, well, no, we don't know who we're making it for.
And then with the music, the nod, and then with the music, they would give a nod to Flash Gordon too. It'll give you that. It gets you hyped.
Oh yeah. Princess of the Universe was a Highlander.
Yes.
Theme. So when they played Princess of the Universe, it was like, wow, that's like the most on the nose Highlander reference you could ever have. Like, I was like, holy cow. But
it amped you up too in the movie. I was like, yeah.
But then they ruined it because they played Princess of the Universe, and then they have them coughing and made a joke out of it. So it was like, what the hell? Why'd you do that? That was a serious moment. You could have just,
it was a little funny, but
that
pissed me off a little bit too.
Seriousness, then joke about it.
Yeah.
Well, it's the James Gunn style of Crash Out, where you have a serious moment, and instead of giving the serious moment time to breathe and time to be a serious moment and have some weight, you gotta undercut it with a joke. I hate that shit. Like, that to me is what the biggest problem with a lot of these modern superhero movies is.
But the only movie scenario that works on, and see that everybody's trying to follow that formula, is Deadpool, because we're used to Deadpool doing stuff like that.
Right.
That's what he's about. He cracks the fourth wall. You know what I'm saying? He likes to make jokes in serious places and stuff. So we're used to stuff like that. But everybody don't need to do it.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't need to do that.
I would like to go with my nephew to see this movie again, but I don't know if this movie will be in the theaters long enough for me to go see it again, because I got a family thing. We got a family thing this weekend. So if my nephew and I go to see it together, we won't be seeing it till next week. And I don't know if it'll still be in theaters next week, because it'll be in the theaters. No, man, it's dropping off horribly. They're already pulling it out of certain theaters. So I don't know. It's not doing very well, and it's unfortunate because it is a good movie. But my thing is if it comes to video quicker, that'll be okay. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it come on. I'll get it on physical media. I'll get it on Blu Ray, like the One Punch Dan movie. I'll put it next to the One Punch Dan movie on Blu Ray. Why not? I'll have Masters of the Universe right there. Same year, that's cool. But yeah, so all in all, I would highly recommend seeing Masters of the Universe. It was fun.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. It was a good time.
I
love that robot. I love the robot, the one that kept trying to kill.
Oh yeah.
I loved her. I'm glad that she survived, because she was a trooper. That was my girl. She was a mess, but that was my girl. And let's talk about some of the villains though. Trap Dog. if he wasn't exactly like he was in the cartoon,
Oh yeah,
all of them were.
they were
Ram
all
Man,
they all looked like their cartoon counterparts for sure.
Fisto, he go around fisting people.
It was good.
Never
That joke had me rolling. I'm sorry. So when you go around fisting people, I do not fist people. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
This.
You got a big fist. And then when he was holding the sword and talking about, so why sword is so small? Like, yes, because my fist is so big. It was like, but
What the heck?
but your other fist is the one that's big. That was a, well, yeah, this is big too.
What the
I'm like,
hell
y'all, man.
is that?
Some of the jokes
What
was
the hell?
nice. Some of it was a trip. But yeah,
That's messy.
I know, right? Because he got a big fist.
Yes.
Uh
I'm gonna watch that if I have the
yeah,
time.
I might watch it again tonight. I might. I enjoyed that.
This is where we play victim, then get mad when people catch us.
I enjoyed
Smackable.
that.
Oh, this guy. What the hell?
What?
Asshole. Smackadon is on the chat. That guy's bad
Yeah,
news.
well, we what I like I'll say about that Smackadon is there's nobody mad here. There's nobody playing the victim. If
Excuse
anything,
me?
people in your camp are the ones who are playing the victim. Those are the guys that did. I don't know.
Victims.
They talked about us for nearly 12 hours
Back.
because
Okay, listen.
they clapped back at us because we for over 12 hours because we disagreed with them about
Whatever.
Warner Brothers and whatever. I mean, who cares, dude?
Listen,
That's
look at here. Smackadoodle, Smackadon, whoever the hell you is. You keep that on over there with your peoples. We don't do that over here, okay? We have cut ties with them people. They have cut ties with us. We ain't got nothing to do with what's going on with them, and we don't want nothing to do with nothing that's going on with them. So you can slide your happy ass back on over to where you was and keep your opinions to yourself because we don't care. Period.
right.
You
That's
got me
exactly
messed up.
That's
So
exactly right.
so
I
smack
That's it.
smack your ass.
I just say I just think that that's funny because I'm like, man, I couldn't have been more like today, and even on my last stream, couldn't be more happy. You know,
Yeah.
Do you care
I'm gonna say this again. I'm gonna say this again. I got a movie out on Blu-ray and DVD. What do your people have? I'm gonna be honest with you. I can flex a little bit. I got a movie out.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
self-financed it. I did it. What have your guys been doing?
What have
All your guys do, all your guys do is sit up there on their pedestal and talk shit about people. I'm not talking shit about anybody. I'm talking about facts. I'm putting out realistic stuff, having real conversation, and
okay?
people like you come in here and try to derail things, and
Well, you
that's
can
fine.
smack your ass back on over to where the hell you came from and tell them we say hi.
Exactly, exactly. It's crazy to me. I could care I could care less about them or any of that stuff. Like here's the thing. It was it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. They love us. They love us so much that they have to send people over to create issues. That's how much they love us. I'm gonna tell you something. I haven't seen one of their streams since I watched those clapbacks that they did about us.
Yeah.
I haven't
For a
seen
long
any of
time.
their stuff. I haven't
Yeah.
watched any of their stuff. I haven't thought about any of their stuff.
We don't care about those
Out of
stuff.
sight, out of mind. We don't think about their asses. We got work to do over here, okay? We
It's
don't
like how
give
many? It's like because this is what I want to know. How many more people poison against us? How many more people do you want to have, mad at us because we disagreed about a corporate merger? Who the hell cares?
Exactly.
Yeah,
And y'all
exactly. Who
lost.
are you to do that to us? I thought the
Exactly. You're
U.S. is
lost. Let
free.
it go. Get over it. Deal with it. Okay? 1A that shit. You are done. There's no more movement. Let it go.
I think
Give
it's
a
great.
damn.
I think it's great. I think it's great. Like they're that bored. They have so little to talk about, right? That they got to
Right.
literally send people over here to bother us because they don't have anything better going on. It's like,
Y'all
listen,
don't like
if
it no
if
more.
anything, you all are making it easier for me to flex now because I'm so over you guys. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't care who unfriended me, who unfollowed me, who whatever. I don't care about none of the people that pretended to be my friend for all these years, and then all of a sudden they're not my friends anymore because I disagreed with you guys on a merger. I really don't care. I'm over it. To me, I'm in a great mood today. I'm happy. I have everything going right now. Everything's going in a nice direction, so I'm good.
Like
You
Yeah,
know,
that's
like
good.
Smokey from Friday says, I don't give a fuck.
I mean, it's so fun. It's so fun. It's so funny. Yeah, yeah. You had somebody in their chat. I'll never forget that night. You had somebody. There was somebody in their chat. It's like, oh, they should just leave you guys alone. Like we're the ones that were going after them, but we're not. We didn't go after anybody. We didn't go after anybody. We were just having a conversation.
Okay. Come on, so go on, bring
And
your happy
not
ass over
only that,
here.
it was like we even said in that infamous Easter Sunday stream that allegedly started all this stuff. We even
My
said
2 year old.
that we were in support of the whole Netflix thing.
They didn't give a damn. All they wanted to do was spin a narrative that we were against Netflix and that we were saying
Yep,
this and saying
yep,
that. And that's
yep,
all they wanted to do because they ain't had nothing else to damn
Yep,
do. So
yep.
what? No, we don't care. Oh well.
yep. That's what that was,
Keep
and
your happy ass over there with them.
I love it though. I think it's great.
They should realize now that Netflix will never, ever
Ever.
sell sell
No.
Netflix.
But these are the same
But
people. These are the same people that are. These are the. You guys got to realize these are the same people that are making excuses for what Dan Lin said and are trying to say that
yeah,
well Dan Lin doesn't speak for Netflix. Dan Lin doesn't
oh
speak for
yeah.
Netflix.
Why
Well,
he wear
What's
that?
Dan
what do
Lin
you mean? He's
position?
like
Dan
what's
Lin is
the
the head of Netflix Films.
he's the
He
head of
wear
Netflix
that?
Films. He's the head of Netflix Films. He
He's not just
literally does. He literally is qualified to speak for the company. What are
he's
you
not
talking
just
about?
he's not just gonna spit out some damn it and stuff like that willy nilly without being approved.
Yeah, yeah, but
Duh.
ask these people. We get this kind of stuff. Okay, we haven't paid any attention to anything that those people have been
None
doing
of them.
since they did their little clapbacks. They're like 12, 13 hour clapbacks. Since they did all that, we haven't said word one about them. We're not here talking about them. We haven't mentioned them. We haven't brought them up.
I ain't said nothing
We've
about
been all good.
them.
We've been all good, right? And this is the
Yeah,
kind of
they
stuff that
are.
we have to get because again,
I
it's about they need a boogeyman. They need somebody to fight. And you know who you are. I'm going to say this to you. I'm not going to mention your name, but you better not. And I swear to God, I better not see you out there one day trying to defend them again and trying to act like they're the victims in this situation because I never said anything about any of them.
no,
Okay?
no.
And they're sending their people over here. So if you're going to excuse that and you're going to fall in on their side and excuse that stuff, that's on you. I don't want to
Take it
see
from
it, and I don't want to hear it.
take it from piranha. Don't start none, won't be none.
For real.
Damn.
Hell, ain't nobody said nothing about the Klingon. Ain't nobody said nothing about Baraka, Pippa, Pop, and Pete. Ain't nobody said nothing about y'all. Nothing. But I
Nope.
will.
That's
Now
why.
we
That's why.
we
Like I said, I'm very, very happy because, like I said, I don't have to even worry about it. It's like I'm looking at it from a factual perspective. They're living in a fantasy world, and that's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. You know? Yeah.
then
You didn't care. You didn't care. You didn't care about One Punch Man. The only thing that was dominating my life for the last 2 years. That's perfectly fine. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay that you didn't care about One Punch Man. It's okay that you didn't give a damn about it. It's okay. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay that you made fun of me and my disabilities and made fun of Bishop and Qatar. It's okay that you made fun of us. You know, it's sticks and stones. We don't care about that kind of stuff. Okay. Nobody's crying. Nobody's playing the victim. Nobody's doing anything. Okay. I'll admit that when I did my response stream to their clapbacks, I was coming from an emotional perspective.
because you were hurt, and because you could, you had every right to be that way. Because the things they said, the things they did, and the lies they told, and the narratives they spun,
Yeah,
it was just ridiculous. And
it was.
Hurt.
It was, and I made the mistake, okay, of thinking that these people were my friends, that thinking that these people cared about me. I made the mistake of thinking that these were people that I was going to be friends with for the rest of my life. And that's why I was so upset. That's why I was so emotional. But I'm over it now. And so I'm not emotional. I'm not upset. And you could send anybody you want in my chat. They'll just be removed and deleted, and we'll move on. I don't know. I don't understand why we have to play these childish games. Because here's the thing: I've been very, very focused on my own stuff. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm not talking to anybody. I wasn't bothering anybody before, and somehow I became publicly enemy number one. You want to know what I think the truth is? I think the truth is y'all are just jealous of the fact that I went off and made a movie. And you don't care about it and didn't care about it because you weren't directly involved in it. You didn't have nothing to do with it. You weren't a part of it. You didn't. You trashed it. You talked all kinds of crap about it. You never even seen it. You never even watched it.
But see, it wasn't just that, Zod. It was because the fact if they would have gave any attention to what we were doing, it would have took away from their agenda that they were trying to do. That's
what it is. That's what it is. Right. You couldn't do it. And then how about the other BS of trying to since we're relitigating, since you're sending people here. How about the whole thing about that Clitoria song, Revive? That dude actually thought that Revive was about him. He thought it was about him. I sit here and I crack up about that to this day, because you know what it says. It's like saying, if you really think that Revive song is about you, then you must have a low opinion of yourself, because some of the things because I don't ever remember him ever doing any of the things that are mentioned in the Revive song. The Revive song, you know, again, being written for the One Punch Man movie, being part of a plot involving Isekai and a podcaster. And I'll never understand, other than the fact that I posted that song, you know, at the wrong time, I guess.
At an inopportune time. Oh well, it happens.
But other than that, like, I don't know why it would be, you know, why you would even listen to it and think that it was about you. And again, that happened a long time ago. And so if it was really about that, if this whole thing stemmed from the Revive song, why didn't you just reach out? Why didn't you just reach out to me and ask me about it? when I was on your stream, okay, when I was on your stream that night that you thought Netflix won the merger, how come you didn't ask me about Revive then? Revive had happened a long time ago prior to that. How come you didn't ask me about it? How come you didn't say nothing to me about it then? You could have said, hey, what was with that Revive song? And I would have just told you it was supposed to be in the movie. It had to do with this scene. And I would have actually sent you the scenes. I would have showed you what I was working on if you had taken an interest. But like you said, he didn't give a damn about it. So there's no point in even going over that. But I just think that's funny that like allegedly it all stemmed from that, and that is like some of the pettiest stuff I've ever seen in my life.
And the word says, listen, you don't have to swear by nothing. Your word should be your bond. So if you tell this man that it had nothing to do with him, he should have been man enough to understand that it didn't have anything to do with it.
Well, not only did I tell him that it had nothing to do with it, not only was I very honest and very clear about what it was about, but I released the proof. I literally showed the sequence from the movie that song was for. I literally have that. So I'm not.
That's my point. You shouldn't have had to do that. That's my point. You shouldn't have had to do that. You shouldn't have to, because he should know better. Why the hell would you know?
And this is the one thing. This is the one thing that I think is so funny. These people have known us for years, and we may be a lot of things. But one thing, we're not liars. We don't lie about stuff. I don't make stuff up. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I went off and made this movie. Most people would have given up after several months, realizing how difficult of an ordeal making this movie would have been. Most people would have given up very, very easily. And if I remember correctly, weren't those guys allegedly working on a movie of their own? If I remember correctly, I think I remember him saying something to me on a phone call when we were friendly after the Revive song, by the way. He said something to me along the lines of that him and a group of people were planning on getting together and making some kind of a movie. They had some idea. Is that what it was called? I don't even remember what it was called.
I think it was Red Sun, something.
But I know there was something. There was some sort of movie or something that they were working on. So I'm wondering if there's a correlation between, all of this out of the blue hatred, and the fact that I went off, made a movie, actually completed the movie, okay, while they didn't do anything. I wonder if that has something to do with it. I don't know. A lot of it for me is that I sincerely never had anything against anybody. And like I said, I totally would have given up. I totally would have would have been glad to have a conversation about Revive. How many times did I reach out to that guy and say, hey man, do you want to see One Punch Dan? How many times did I do that?
Of course he didn't want to see it. That's why he never responded, because he didn't give a damn about it anyways, remember? Right.
He said, I didn't give a damn about it. That's what he said on the stream they were on, right? Mm-hmm. And like Sox Bulletin says here, high school mentality with those people. And I figure, and here's the thing, I was gonna just block and kick the Smackadoon guy out and not even address it, but figure might as well give them a show, because we know they're all lurking. This is all what they want, right? Give the people what they want, basically.
Oh, he's gonna go tell them what we said.
They're probably watching us right now, Bishop. That's what this is about. That's what this is about, right? They need more. They need more. They need more. They need more hate fuel so that they can go off and make another 12-hour clapback. I guess. I don't know because I'm like I couldn't be more. You know. I couldn't be happier right now. I couldn't be more excited and happy if I had, you know, like what the hell? Like I'm actually
things are good over here. Things are good over here.
Things are going good over here. I mean, and I'm actually looking into something special which could lead to a small, you know, to a small local One Punch Stand movie theatrical exhibition. I'm looking into that, so that might be happening at some point.
Don't forget you might be having a major interview coming up soon.
Oh yeah, I got a major interview with regards to One Punch Stand coming up really soon too. There's a lot of stuff happening, guys. I hate to say this, but I gotta say this, okay? You guys may think you're better than us. You may think you're better than everybody else. But I can honestly say I'm living my life. And I'm not thinking about you guys, okay? I'm giving you guys a show right now because you thought it was cool to poison all our little. You thought it was cool to poison all our little friends against us and stuff. That's all cool. That's good because all that proves to me, at the end of the day, is that none of y'all were ever my friend to begin with. None of you guys were really my friends. Because if you were, then none of this would have mattered. None of you guys would have came at me the way you did, because if you were really my friend, you would have been able to see it from my perspective as well. Not just see it from one side, constantly take that side, and then divorce yourself from anything and everything that has to do with me. That's perfectly fine that you guys chose to do that, but I'm not living my life around it, and I could care less. You know, I wasn't doing very, very, very well after all that happened. You know, Bishop could tell you that. My family could tell you that. I wasn't doing very well after that all happened. The first couple of weeks after that happened were really, really rough for me. But I came to the realization that this was something that God was telling me. God was showing me the truth. God was showing me what was really happening. God was showing me the light so that I knew what I was going to be dealing with in the future. It's the best thing in the world when it's revealed to you who your real friends are and who your friends aren't. It's better to know who your friends are and who your enemies are. You know, I wouldn't even call you guys, here's the thing about you guys too, I wouldn't even call you guys my enemies, because I don't hate you guys. I don't have anything against you guys. In fact, I kind of pity you guys. And I'm going to tell you why I kind of pity you guys. Because no matter what you may think of me, I'm a loyal, caring friend. And two of you, the two main ones that caused all of this with the clapbacks, two of you, I went back in my DMs after you guys did your clapbacks, and I found that the last time that the two of you guys talked to me, I had did favors for both of you. One of you, I helped with a project that you needed help on. The other one, you had fallen out with a mutual friend of ours and had asked me if I could reach out to that friend. And so I reached out to that friend for you so that the two of you could rekindle your friendship. I had done favors for both of you. And that was the last time I'd had any communication with you guys till this happened. And it's documented. So I don't understand like how you guys could do that. If anything, you guys lost a loyal friend in me, because I was a loyal friend and I genuinely cared about you guys. And that's the difference. When you care about somebody, no, I know. I'm just giving my perspective. when you genuinely care about somebody, it's to your detriment to flush friends down the toilet who genuinely care about you and care and have your back. Because there's other people in that group too that have done me pretty wrong as a result of what's happened. And I recognize that. And so I understand that I'm not really friends with those people either, and that's perfectly fine with me. A friend does not do friends the way you did us. And that is a fact. But like I said, I don't consider you guys enemies. I pity you guys because I don't hate you guys. I don't hate you guys. You're never going to see me say F those guys and anybody who likes them. You're never going to see me say those kinds of things because I don't feel that way about you. I have no animosity.
Clapbacks.
I have no animosity towards these guys whatsoever. I was upset and I was hurt by the things that they said, but I'm not mad at them to the point where I hate them or wish any ill will on them or whatever. I just don't, it's not me. I don't care. It's all good. You guys can do you, we'll do us, and that's perfectly fine. I am not, there is nothing in this world that I want more than for those guys to be happy and to be successful and to be kinder people. Because that's what they need to do. They need to take a look in the mirror and realize, hey, listen, life is short. We shouldn't be dunking on the people that were actually supporters and were actually on our side. We should be focusing on who the real enemies are and not targeting our friends. But unfortunately, that's not what we got. So I've accepted it. I've let it go. And so you can send anybody you want into the chats to create a problem. I gave you guys a show, but just so you know, this is never going to happen again. The next person who comes in here and says something like Smackadoon or Smackadam, whatever that guy was, they'll be removed just the same, and there won't be any talk about it. Okay, so hopefully you guys got what you came for. You guys got a reaction, which is more than you deserved. But I'm, like I said, I have no ill will towards any of you. None of you.
I don't either.
I'm disappointed. I'm more. There's a few of them that I'm more disappointed in than anything else. But I'm not. But I don't have any ill will or hatred or malice towards any of them. See, that's the difference. Like, you'll never see us go to their chats or pretend to be other people and go to their chat. We would never do that because we're not thinking about them. Okay, that's not ever going to happen. So,
now see, with me, I see the person that I am. Regardless of what you think of me, I am a man of God, and I can pray for you. I can pray for your well-being. I can pray that the Lord blesses you and your family and everything. I just don't have to deal with you.
That's right. And Socks puts it very directly and intelligently here when he says another 12-hour clapback video behind the paywall. Exactly. You see, they could talk all this mess and throw all this bravado and machoism in our faces, right? And talk all this yin yang behind a paywall, but they don't have the balls to come out here and come on a stream and actually talk directly to us. They don't have the balls to do that, because if they did that, then it would show that they were actual gentlemen. But they're not going to do that. They're all about getting behind a paywall, talking as much crap as possible, riling up their supporters, screen sniping Qatar's stream, and cherry picking things out of the stream to make us sound bad. And you know what I think was so funny about that stream? I love the way he kept saying, "Yeah, it sounds kind of innocuous, doesn't it? Like they're not really saying much. They're not really." Yeah. Big news flash there, guy. because we weren't. And you knew that we weren't. You just did that because you needed a villain. And I'm going to tell you the funniest part about this whole thing. The only reason they went at us like that, the only reason was because they needed somebody to take it out on, because they're upset, because their whole Netflix narrative is not working out the way that they wanted it to. And so they needed a boogeyman, so they decided that we were going to be the ones that they went after. It's not me being a victim, it's a fact. It's the fact of what happened. You guys didn't have nobody to blame, so you went after us on Qatar's channel. And no offense to Qatar, but not a lot of people really watched that stream. So it wasn't like it was something that you had to worry about, the whole world seeing. It was just us talking about the merger. It was no big deal. And you chose to use that as your weapon. You chose to use that to go after us. Then you did a follow-up. Then you did another. Then not only that, I don't know if you guys knew about this. He did a follow-up. Then he did another one where he constantly had to justify to himself why he did it. He kept repeating, "Oh, it had to be done. This, that, and the other." And the funny part about it is the dude didn't even have enough thought to realize, hey, Zod's a member of my channel. He's a paying member of my YouTube channel. And here I am trashing him, and trashing, trashing his team, trashing his guys for like 12 hours. And I'm like a member of his channel, and I can literally watch those streams. And it's just like, bro, what the hell are you doing? It's like I stepped away for a while because I had a movie to make. I finished my movie, and I told everybody that when I got done making my movie, I would come back to publicly doing streams again. I would come back to watching everybody's streams. I'd go back to supporting everybody's streams like I had in the past. I was going to become members of people's channels again, that kind of stuff. You have to understand, at the time when I was making One Punch Dan, I had all my money was going towards One Punch Dan. All my extra income, any income that I didn't need to live, was going towards the movie, because I was trying to make it the best possible movie I could make. I was focused, and I was driven, and this was something that I wanted to do. But I had no hate or malice towards anybody, not even them. I had no issues with them whatsoever. And then we find out from these 12-hour streams what these guys really think about us. We find out that they thought we were garbage for this whole time. One of them, I gave this dude his start. He wouldn't have even been on YouTube if it wasn't for me. I invited him on my YouTube channel. I gave him a platform. I let him talk. I gave him a platform. I got to know him. I thought he was a friend of mine, and he talked just as much shit about me as the rest of them. And the funny part about him was, then he had enough nerves to say, "Oh, but that was all me. That didn't have nothing to do with you. The fact that you actually gave me your platform. No, that was all me. That didn't have nothing to..." This dude had enough nerves to talk all this mad shit, and it's like, dude, you wouldn't have even have been on YouTube if it wasn't for me. Your little group, the four of you, that little group that you're in, wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for me. Because the leader of your group found two of you guys because I had you guys on my show. So what are we talking about here? It was late night Q&A. I brought you guys in. So for you guys to talk about me like that, I'm an OG, okay? I started with Release the Snyder Cut. I was there before all this stuff happened with all your you guys and your little hashtag acting like you're big shit because you love your little hashtag. Well, I got news for you. I was there at the beginning, and I was writing the book about all this stuff with your friend and mine, the late great Mikey Sutton. And you guys are the ones that have gone out of your way to basically ostracize and abandon every single friend that Mikey Sutton had. Do you realize that? Have you guys even stopped to think about that? That you guys are literally enemies now with almost every single person that Mikey cared about before he passed away. Literally, every one of them. You've just cut us all out. No, but I just find that ironic, especially for a group of people that claims to hold Mikey's memory in such high esteem and claims to be all about. In fact, that was another reason that they gave for not caring about the One Punch Stand movie. They said, "Oh well, it had Savage Bat in it." They acted like because Savage Bat was in the movie that it was a bad thing. But they seem to forget that Savage Bat was also very, very close to Mikey. They seem to have forgotten just because they had a falling out. Here's the thing about them. They make everything about them, and they think when they have a falling out with people, that everybody around them is supposed to have had that same falling out that they had. Now, I don't know if they remember this or not, but when Savage Bat had his falling out with them, I wasn't there. Okay? I wasn't around when he was fighting with them with whatever was said. I wasn't there. So saying to me, "Oh, I'm not going to watch your movie because and you trying to use Savage Bat as a rationale for not supporting One Punch Stand is just ridiculous because number one, Savage Bat has a small part. Savage Bat's part is not big in the One Punch Stand movie. Savage Bat is in One Punch Stand because he was a friend and he cared about Mikey Sutton. It has nothing to do with whatever falling out or beef you guys had with Savage Bat after Mikey died, okay? It didn't have nothing to do with that. I was trying to honor Mikey. Mikey's family doesn't know anything about all these little beefs that have existed since Mikey died between you guys and everybody else. Mikey's family doesn't know anything about this, okay? Mikey's family is about to get a One Punch Stand movie Blu Ray. By the way, I can say that Mikey's family is finally going to have an opportunity to watch this movie because I heard back from Mikey's nephew.
Cool.
And I am sending them out. I am sending them out a Blu-ray, so they will finally get to see this movie. This movie that is a tribute to everyone,
Cool.
including people. It's so ironic because this movie is even a tribute to people who hate me now. It's so funny to me. But what I will say, and what I'm very thankful for, and I'm very grateful for, is I'm very grateful to Mikey's family for allowing me to feature Mikey as a character in this movie, and I'm thankful to everybody, whether you love me now or you hate me now, or you're a friend of mine or you're not a friend of mine. If you were a part of this project in any way, I am forever grateful to you. So there is that. So that's the other thing. I have people that they were talking all kinds of trash about this movie, and they hadn't watched it, they hadn't seen it, they didn't know anything about it. They talked all kinds of trash about it, but the funny part is, and what makes it so great is, would this movie be dedicated to all these people that died? And to all these people, if this movie was meant to be some sort of weird, spiteful, petty thing, like the kinds of things that they do.
Well, people are idiots. People are idiots. Okay,
Yeah,
plain and simple. Just
that's
so.
very true.
Nobody
That's
believes
very
that.
true. So in conclusion, okay, SmackDown. In conclusion, we're going to we're gonna wrap this up. I want to
Man,
say
go ahead, back over the way you came from.
I want to say thank you to everybody who was here tonight. I had a really good time. This was fun. This was so much fun talking about all this
Me
stuff.
too. This
Uh,
was fun.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
yeah, and I love what Ray says here. The true fans were here since 2017. Yeah, exactly. You know, we didn't know, we didn't, a lot of us didn't come after the fact, guys. A lot of us have been here since the very beginning. I was one of them, okay? Which is why I was writing Pause Not Stopped with the help of the late great Mikey Sutton. So you know what?
oh,
We're gonna go ahead and end tonight's show. It's been a great show. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to all the lurkers and
It was a lot of fun.
all the haters from that side of the fandom. I'm glad you were here,
what up,
regardless,
man?
because because again, like I said,
Yeah.
I don't consider you to be my enemy. I don't hate you. I'm not mad at you, but I do pity you, and that's just the truth. So we're going to go and go enjoy the rest of my night and continue to enjoy the rest of my week because things have been going very well. And if you would like to
Yeah.
purchase a copy of One Punch Stand, the link is in the description.
Funaki.
Have a great night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night.